and we are increasing our funding for this and looking at new ways to make it more effective. Nobody likes road tax. There are problems of cars having to slow down and then accelerate afterwards, and that does increase carbon emissions. So we have developed with the government a new camera technology which doesn't require digging up all the streets to link them all up with underground cabling, but allows a new generation of cameras to communicate with each other without having to dig up the roads, just over the airwaves. And by positioning these at the entry and exit points of any 20-mile-per-hour zone, and with the computer having been properly programmed, you can know how long it took someone to get through the zone, whether or not they exceeded the 20 miles per hour. Now, I'm in favour of pressing ahead with this rapidly, because it removes the hassle of road hubs. It does not cause inconvenience to people who have to slow down and go over bumps. It doesn't inconvenience ambulances or buses, and it only catches the guilty. It only catches the people that have been speeding in a residential area, and therefore we're now working with the government to make the statutory instrument changes that will allow us to roll these out in the next wave of 20-mile-per-hour zones that I'm committed to. Now, I want to say all this is small word that I will give real thanks to the Green members of the London Assembly who've really worked with us to drive this policy forward, in particular Jenny Jones, who's been absolutely ferocious, making sure the police never forget it's as important a priority to reduce deaths on the road as it is to reduce deaths from murder or other serious crimes. It's every bit as much a part of their duties, because in many areas of the country, I think the police have got that same attitude I found in the Attorney General 15 years ago, that these are just inevitable things, we've got to live with it, and you can't do much about it. The police are a vital part of making sure we reduce the carnage on our streets. Over the last 5 years, those 20-mile-per-hour zones, we started out spending £3 million a year. We're now spending £10 million a year, and we've got 400 of those 20-mile zones across London. And on average, once you introduce one, the number of children killed and seriously injured falls by 58%. How can anyone object to a 20-mile-per-hour zone if it was only the children being saved in those residential areas on their walks to school? And therefore, I've agreed with the Greens, we are jointly campaigning for a commitment that the presumption on London streets should be a 20-mile-per-hour zone. There's streets where you can travel faster should be the rare exception. And therefore, we will take that policy forward on May the 1st and ask Londoners to endorse that policy, and with the backing of the electorate then proceed to make all our residential streets 20-mile-per-hour zones using that camera technology. There is a clear and stark choice in this election, and I hope you won't feel offended if I mention Boris Johnson. His policies are completely and diametrically opposed to what I've said to you and what you've campaigned for years. He has a commitment in his manifesto, and I'll quote it because I don't want to be accused of misquoting him, to rephase the traffic lights with the sole intention of getting traffic flowing more smoothly. Well, smooth is a euphemism for faster. And the reality is there's a clear choice in this election in the commitment of individuals, and I'm not the only candidate, Green candidate, equally committed, I suspect the Lib Dem candidate as well, to actually making sure our streets are safe. When Boris Johnson was interviewed on the Jeremy Vine show on Radio 2, he said, and I quote him directly again, "I would say as a cyclist that I think pedestrians are the most dangerous feature on the roads at the moment." This is clearly a man who's never met a heavy goods vehicle. And he, on his website, Unlock Democracy, made absolutely clear he is opposed to 20-mile-per-hour zones. But what Boris Johnson doesn't understand is that when traffic lights are on red for cars and lorries, they're on green for pedestrians and cyclists. And the reality is, although we've had this huge and hysterical campaign over the years as we press forward with more pedestrian crossings, at 2 or 3 seconds longer to get across the road, the 20-mile-per-hour zones, it's about striking the right balance. And whilst it's been denounced in columns by Jeremy Clarkson and Boris Johnson, and the Evening Standard has literally said this is some wicked plot to achieve gridlock on our roads. It's saved hundreds of lives. And it is bizarre that so far, with such a clear policy difference, none of our media have given any attention to an issue here which will take more lives than any terrorists have ever done in London's history if we make a tragic mistake and go back to the system cutting the time for pedestrians to cross the road, stopping the rollout of 20-mile-per-hour zones, and actually taking a broad view that the right of the motorist to speed through our streets should take precedence over the rights of our elderly, our children, and everybody else to be able safely to live in this city. Cities are for people, and the best way of running a large and complex city like this is to provide a good public transport system, to try and encourage people out of their cars for all the reasons about carbon emissions and climate change. But there's also a dimension of safety. If we start to go into reverse and see a reverse of that position, where over the last 8 years we've seen 5% of journeys switch from car to bus and public transport and cycling, we'll go back to a much less pleasant city and a much more dangerous one. So I think you may feel we've made major strides in the last few years, and I think we really have. And this work is now moving to a European and to an international plane. But right here in this city, in the next 3.5 weeks, there's a very real chance we could start to go back and go into reverse, and more people will die on our streets. Thank you very much.